1900.
It is now 1900 hours. I will call the October 6th Plan Commission meeting order. Mr. Martinez, please call the roll.
Mayor Olson,
I'm here.
Commissioner Hogan,
Here.
Commissioner Butthart is absent, Commissioner Haley, City Engineer Morrow, Alderwoman Henneman, Commissioner Leon.
We have a quorum. Please rise and join the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I feel humbled every time I do that at this meeting because we have a reserve master sergeant from the Army here.
Still a sergeant major.
So I'm sorry, Sergeant Major. I always screw that up. But a bigwig who has served our country, and I'm here leading it. It's thanks to him that we say that. So
It's all of our pledge, not just military.
So I'll do this publicly. Thank you for the sacrifice,
Thank you, Mayor.
both the Army and the Marines. Hoorah. I'm not allowed to do that.
You can if you want. It's okay.
That seems rude. Anyway, okay, first order on the agenda is approval of the regular meeting minutes of, the special meeting of September 21st. Any additions or corrections?
Move to approve. Second.
Hanneman and Haley, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. More substantial is the regular meeting minutes of September 22nd. Any additions or corrections?
Move to pass.
Second.
Leon and Hogan, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item C1 is a public hearing on a rezoning application, as it were, for Christian Sartler, is that okay? And Karen Sartler to rezone a property at 8979 South 42nd, R3, and Conservancy to R3. Mr. Martinez, you have a meeting notice, hearing notice.
Notice of public hearing, City of Franklin Plan Commission, meeting details. Hearing date is Thursday, October 6, 2022 at 7 p.m. Place, the Common Council Chambers at Franklin City Hall, 9229 West Loomis Road, Franklin, Wisconsin, 53122. Proposal information. Applicants, Christian S. Sartler and Karen Art Sartler. Subject property. The subject of the proposed rezoning is approximately 1.5 acres and is zoned R3 Suburban State Single Family Residence District and C1 Conservancy. Northern portion of the property, specifically located at 8979 South 42nd Street. Proposal. Adoption of an ordinance to amend the Unified Development Ordinance zoning map to rezone a certain parcel of land from R3 Suburban State Single Family Residence District and C1 Conservancy District to R3 Suburban State Single Family Residence District. Public hearing information. This public hearing is being held pursuant to the requirements of Section 6223(7)(d)(2) of the Wisconsin Statutes and Division 15-90200 of the City of Franklin Unified Development Ordinance. A map showing the property affected, full legal description, and the application and all supporting materials are available for review and may be obtained from the City Council by way of request to the Department of City Development at Franklin City Hall, 9229 West Loomis Road, Franklin, Wisconsin. A copy of the proposed ordinance in draft form is available and open for inspection by the public in the office of the City Clerk at Franklin City Hall, 9229 West Loomis Road, Franklin, Wisconsin, during normal business hours. The public is invited to attend the public hearing and to provide input. The proposed amendment is subject to revisions following public hearing and the further consideration by the Plan Commission and the City of Franklin Common Council.
Appears we have a properly noticed public hearing. Mr. Martinez, can you tell us in plain language what we're talking about here, please? Because frankly, the drawings I had in the packet are not worth anything.
Hold on. Okay. Okay, so this is a map of the subject property. And the subject property is partly zoned R3, that is suburban single family, and C1, that is Conservancy District. So the C1 district is what we call an obsolete district because only exists in the zoning map. But when you go to the ordinance text, it doesn't exist. So properties are not, structures are not allowed in the C1 district because of the conservancy district. So the normal process is when a property owner would like to build a structure in the C1 conservancy district is that they apply for the rezoning, they hire a consultant to prepare a natural resource protection plan that will locate by field delineation all the natural resources present on the property. Natural resources being wetlands, woodlands, streams, navigable waterways. So the applicant hired a consultant to prepare the natural resource protection plan. So these are the proposed improvements. There is a garage and a driveway. And the blue line is a waterway that has been determined to be navigable and a wetland. So from the wetland and the waterway, the requirement from the UDO is 75 shore buffer from the waterway, that would be approximately here, and the 50-foot wetland setback from the wetland, that is the purple line. So this is a scale, so this is the 50-foot wetland setback. So the proposed improvement are located in protecting natural resources. That's why staff is recommending denial of the rezoning application. However, if the Plan Commission wish to approve or to recommend approval of the rezoning, the C1 Conservancy District will be removed from the property, but the natural protection standards will remain. And if they want to build a garage, they will need to request the natural resource special exception. And also to protect through a conservation easement all the remaining natural resources, the shore buffer from the waterway and the wetland setback and wetland buffer. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Please point out for us the location of the garage, the proposed location of the garage. That red box, that red dashed box. The the black line in the white box indicates the 75-foot buffer?
50 feet, yeah.
So the net of this is, we remove the C1, the requirement still remains, and the garage will go in a prohibited space.
Correct.
So they need to do a natural resource special exception, show how they impact the thing, and ask for an exemption.
Correct.
Okay.
If there is a hardship for the natural resource special exception, that will be determined in the review of the special exception request.
Okay. So our rules say we offer the applicant an opportunity to say their piece before we open the public hearing. Is there anything you would like to say? Please go to the microphone and, yeah, either one. That's fine. Give us your name and address, please, and then let us know what you want to say.
You want my personal address? Oh, okay. My name is Kevin Ellertson. I'm with Limitless Property Works. We're based out of Franklin off County Line Road, so 8820 W South County Line. A couple of things to note here. If you notice the setback that's already in place, this home does sit inside of that setback that they already have in place with the garage. We did have out with the National Resources Protection Plan that this garage will be outside of the navigable riverway and the high water mark, as well as the wetland that they're determining. What they're saying with that 50-foot is from the edge of that high water mark, everything that's built needs to be outside of that. So what we're asking for is an exemption here because we're still up on top of that bank. We wouldn't be disturbing the navigable riverway or the wetland. With the house already being inside of that, and the National Resource Protection Plan, they didn't really see any issue with being inside of that. They deferred back to this council here, is what they're saying for approval. the National Resources Protection Plan. From what they're telling us is it's not inside, it's up to you to grant the exemption. We reached out to the Army Corps of Engineers, which was recommended by Regulo, and they said they do not make a decision on this. The WDNR said you can't build it inside of the navigable riverway or the wetland. So we are not inside of the wetland or the navigable riverway with where we have it placed. We're just inside of the setback at this point.
Okay, to be clear, they as Heartland
Correct.
Environmental,
Heartland Environmental.
and they said, we can't offer you any recommendation. That's correct. They can't, and referred.
Correct. So we're referred back to here. So what they're saying based on, so they came out and did a survey. So obviously they're locating by GPS coordinates out there to lay out the corner points on here. So those are exact corner points of where it would be built, done with surveying equipment to show that it's not inside of the riverway or inside of the actual wetland. So the blue is the riverway, the purple is the wetland.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ellison. So with that, that's it.
Unless you guys have any other further questions.
They will later. Okay, thank you very much. With that, I will open the public hearing on this matter. Anyone wishing to speak, please go to the microphone, give us your name and address, and tell us what you want to tell us.
Hi, my name is Debbie Haight, and I live directly across the street from these people, and I'm not trying to be unneighborly, but we are
Address?
8980 South 42nd, and we happen to be in the low area of the neighborhood. Already, we have problems with flooding during the spring, and the creek runs across. We own the property adjacent to our home, which is Zone C1 Conservancy as well. And we're concerned about the change in the flow, and will we be flooded? We've never had basement water, any of that type thing, and we've been there 35 years. So that's one of our concerns. We're also concerned because that corridor happens to be a primary travel corridor for the wild animals, the deer, the fox, the things like that, and we're afraid by changing that might inhibit some of that, and that's why we're there. Primarily. That's my stand. And as I said, I'm not trying to be unneighborly, but I don't want 6 feet of water in my lawn once, your garage is constructed.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else wishing to speak? Folks in back? Okay. All right. Anyone else? Seeing no one else rise, I'll close the public hearing on this matter. We return back to questions from the Plan Commission. Commissioner Leon.
Not sure who the right one to ask the question is, but to address the neighbor's concern, what is the risk of putting this structure to the risk of potential increased flooding based on a whatever number of year rain event? I don't know if,
May I rephrase the question for you?
yes, please.
I think you're asking, is this in a floodplain?
Would it, not so much as in a floodplain, but by putting this, if it's approved, is there a greater risk of flooding for neighboring properties, basements, or whatever else? I would tend to think not, but I'm not an expert on the subject, so I don't know.
Mr. City Engineer.
I don't know if it's floodplain or not. Is it?
Is not.
Yeah.
But flood may occur outside the floodplain.
Any place can flood.
Yeah.
Sure. But does this measurably put any greater risk to neighboring properties for flooding? If approved?
Actually, I'd like to hear it from staff.
Yeah,
Sorry, it's not that we don't believe you, but
So if the rezoning is approved, the property owner will still need to apply for a natural resource special exception. Well, they need to provide information that there's a questionnaire, and there's a portion of the questionnaire that is for hydrology. So they will need to provide information that this will not have negative impact or flooding, etc. That will need to be reviewed in the natural resource special exception
okay. So that,
if the rezoning is approved.
so that, if approved here on this agenda item, the NRSC would have to address that concern.
Correct. Yeah.
Thank you.
Let me rephrase what you've said, Commissioner Leone. Really, what's in front of the Plan Commission at this moment is removing the C1 zoning, which we're removing at every opportunity we get. That does not permit the building of the garage.
Correct.
So, okay. Commissioner Hogan.
The other question is, you stated you were across the street from them? So there's a road going, there's a road going in, okay? Right. Okay, thank you.
Alderman Hanneman.
Thank you. A question that sort of sticks out in my mind. I do believe that removal of the C1 there is appropriate because that has been our goal since it's an obsolete zoning code. So that in and of itself, I'm fine with. But I'm reading here on page 7 of the Assured Wetland Delineation Report that the owner reports that the waterway along the northern edge of the study area was constructed to convey stormwater east to Oak Creek from the subdivision that lies to the west. I think I'm unclear. Do we know for sure, is that a man-made waterway? Because does that not exempt from the natural resource special exception
Yeah. Well,
as a man-made?
in the appendix, appendix number 2, that there is an email from the DNR.
But do we know this to absolutely be true? Because the owner reports, and so that's what I'm getting stuck on.
Yeah, from the DNR, they said it does appear that the stream of this property has a defined bed and banks and carries enough water during the spring high water period to float a canoe, so it will be considered navigable.
But it's not natural, it's man-made. That's what I'm trying to discern. Because then the
Well,
federal protections don't apply, do they?
They say,
I would
But-
defer to Commissioner Haley on that one.
Well,
oh,
Mr. Martinez has just been to a
Not that
course on
I'm
it.
No.
sorry, not that I'm.
I have additional information from the DNR email. It's not worth submitting the artificial wetland exception since this area cannot be filled in. That's in the email from the DNR.
And that's here.
Appendix 2.
Okay,
Well,
I will yield, I'm sorry.
while the Alderman's reading that, Commissioner Haley.
I'll try to address some of those things and get to my questions as well. I think the meat of this is in the email from the DNR. She states that it does appear that it's a navigable stream. There's no getting around that. They have to actually say, yes, it is. It is navigable from what we can see, from what the experts know on site. You can't fill navigable waterways. It says that straight up front. State statute prohibit filling in a waterway, so no filling in the stream can be done anyways. It is not worth submitting the artificial wetland exemption. So what you do is you submit an application to say, please determine whether we think it's artificial. And then they might give you an exception, a permit for that. It's not going to show as artificial. This is a tributary to Oak Creek. It's been draining that section of the city for eternity. I understand that the point that they're trying to make is we're not actually going to fill the navigable waterway.
One, I'm skeptical whether that can be done. I mean, we don't see a grading plan, so we don't know how that would be accommodated. But it being a natural waterway, assuming that that were to in fact be true, we're required by state statute to maintain a 75-foot shoreline setback. Can't be done. So I think the reality here is it can't be done there. Could they look at putting it on the other side of the house? Probably. That's exactly what the DNR and the Corps of Engineers would do. They would want to see an analysis of other practicable alternatives. What else can you do? And you have to go through and show that we've looked at all the alternatives and none of them would work. You won't meet this litmus test because they can just put the garage on the other side of the house. I understand it's not the first choice, but you're potentially going down a long and expensive process. And I think the DNR is being very upfront with you and saying it's not worth submitting the artificial wetland exception. Okay?
I've never seen that. I've never seen the DNR say that.
No. She went to put it in there if she wasn't trying to make that point. State statutes prohibit filling in a waterway. And the waterway isn't just the ditch. And whether it's a naturally occurring ditch or at some point it's been modified, which it probably was when the adjacent houses were built, there's a tendency to fill that. But this is, it just shouldn't even be moving forward. I guess the question, I'm surprised to find that it's not in the floodplain. I'd really like to see where that line is. I mean, I don't know how you can have a significant tributary to Oak Creek and not have a floodplain. I mean, there is one, but it's got to be more than a couple feet.
Well, not the regulatory floodplain, not the floodplain that has been established by the FEMA.
That's the
Yeah.
concern, and I think that's what the neighbor is concerned about. Any impacts in a floodplain or the floodway have repercussions down the line. So you could go and ask for the natural resource special exception, but that's when you're going to get tripped up there because there'll have to be a detailed study of exactly where that floodplain is, what your proposed grades are going to be, and how you would not impact those. So I don't know that, I'm all for getting rid of the C1 zoning. We've been trying to clean that up. But at this point, all it does is pull the trigger on moving forward with the natural resource special exception, which I would be surprised to see an affirmative recommendation on that. You've got a perfectly good alternative. Move the garage to the other side of the house. Why?
Well,
Well, I'm not seeing it.
Well, Karen, let's not do a back and forth here.
You
please.
paid to have a wetland delineation done. It's not showing there. So wet is one thing. There's a legal definition of what a wetland is. And that's what we're trying to steer you away from is don't go putting a lot of effort into a project that's probably not going to get the approvals you need. You do what you want to. I'd be looking real seriously at where on the site you could put it if in fact you need the garage. It looks like you've got a lot of acreage. There's opportunities. Go in the backyard. I guess I'm done with that. Legally, it's problematic. It's problematic for us to allow this to move forward. You're ultimately going to get into the 75-foot shoreline buffer, and that's not one we can give an exception to with natural resource special exceptions. That's state mandated. So I'm not trying to be the negative guy here, but you've got all the cards stacked against you in this location.
Can I just ask one question?
Sure.
How did you allow? Just curious.
Too bad it doesn't make it good.
No, I understand that. I'm just curious. It's like the house to the north is built with their property. Their property.
Yeah, I'll answer that question. It doesn't matter because the laws today specify today's laws. And, you know, things change, as they say. And different time, I mean, those are what, 1950s homes, right? So things change. Anyone, Mr. City Engineer?
Okay. I wanted to add some more clarity to the answer I provided a little bit ago. So more impervious surface, no matter where it is, adds to the flooding. it just doesn't matter where it is. Now, whether is it 100-year flooding, is it in the way or not, that's another question, and it's hard to tell. So sometimes we have tributaries that aren't mapped, and, people have to assume unless someone took the time to actually study, you won't know exactly. So sometimes that's not exactly known. So I'm glad for the clarification earlier, because I misunderstood it when I was preparing for the meeting. So if the question simply before us is, should we get rid of the C1, I wish if I had a magic wand, I would just wave that magic wand and eliminate all C1s, because every time it comes up, we eliminate it. It's not needed. It doesn't do anything. It just allows them to go forward. So I think all these other questions are probably good questions and probably good, honest questions, but I don't think that that's what's before us, if I'm correct. So the question is, should we get rid of the C1 or not? And if that's the question and the only question, then the answer is yes. And those other questions probably should be dealt with staff on a later basis.
Well, I will tell you that, yes, that is the question, the only question. But I need to be clear to the applicants. If the Plan Commission tonight says, recommends approval of this motion, which is, let me do this and then somebody can make the motion later. A motion to recommend approval of an ordinance to amend the Unified Development Ordinance, the zoning map, to rezone a certain parcel of land from R3 Suburban Estates Single Family Residential District and C1 Conservancy District to just R3 Suburban Single Family Estate. So all we're doing, if you go to the right picture, all we're doing is getting rid of that green. That's all we're doing on the whole property. That's not telling you you can build. That's not saying you can't, any of that. All we're doing is taking the green off. You got to deal with all the rest of this setbacks and wetland. And I'm here to tell you, tough road to hoe. So anyway, I read the motion. Is there a motion to that effect? Motion by the city engineer, seconded by Alderman Hanneman to approve the motion to remove the C1. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Mr. Martinez, please.
Commissioner Hogan,
Aye.
Commissioner Haley,
No.
okay. City Engineer Morrow,
Aye.
Alderwoman Henneman,
Aye.
Commissioner Leon.
Aye.
The motion carries. It's 4 ayes, 1 no, 1 absent, and no abstentions. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4. I didn't vote.
3, 4.
I didn't vote.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
I'm for. Sherry, I'm for.
So the motion for the rezone passes. So you can have conversations with staff. It's going to be tough.
Clarification goes to the council.
Oh, yes, this now goes to common council on the
The
18th,
next meeting, yeah.
Next.
18th,
a week from Tuesday.
correct, 18th.
One question. They ever approved bill in that turnaround?
We don't do speculation. If you want to,
Apply again?
But that's the front yard.
Yeah, that would be in the front. Okay.
right.
That's not going to pass code.
I'm just
Garage is
So, sorry, could you repeat that question?
be in the side yard.
Wait, guys. That's all can be handled through the staff,
Okay.
please. Okay, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Hogan and Haley. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.